Good morning, everybody, and we're back for day 19 of NaNoWriMo and episode 19 of Prisma Arena, the animated series. Technically, it's season 3, episode 5. So, again, it's probably time to start wrapping some things up and starting to bring this season to a close. Though I think we've kind of a bit more time to play with in this episode. So the last episode ended quite abruptly. I kind of had to get somewhere. So I kind of didn't do the normal kind of debrief at the end of the show. But the episode ended with we had gone to kind of track Carnu, kind of follow him because he was going to the Dryads, and we were kind of concerned about what he was doing with them because he had told us to kind of stay away and not get involved, or trying to dissuade us from saying that the Dryads were involved in trying to spread apathy. So in that encounter, our ship was disabled by the Dryads. We crash landed, and I think we did call for help from the Bazee. Eleanor made contact with, just to remember names again, she made contact with Urza, the Bazee, and they're on their way to help. But the episode ended with one of our heroes being injured whilst trying to flee and get away. So I am going to... So I said I would decide who was going to get injured, and I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to decide. Now I have the character sheets cards around. So I'm just going to roll some story cubes and see which ones they make me think of. So I'm going to switch to the last string. Just that there. Okay. So let's see which of our 4 heroes was injured. Ooh, okay. So that kind of grabs my eye straight away and makes me think that it is Vika has taken a hit. So I think as they're running, they fire a blast at Vika, and he kind of takes a hit in the back, and he stumbles and kind of skids to the ground. Now, I don't think he's kind of completely taken out, but maybe he's lost the use of his kind of right arm as well. And yeah, so I think that's how we kind of ended up the last episode, of them kind of running into the forest. And it cuts. Morning, Niels. Good to have you back. So I'm just going to jump into the next episode. I'm not necessarily continuing it straight on. I think the last episode ends with them kind of disappearing into the trees as they make their way back to the catch up with the Bazee, and it fades. So now the next episode opens, and we see somewhere someone or something has been captured. Okay. Sorry, I'm just drinking my coffee here. So I think so I'm kind of or do I just like kind of start a different kind of story, or do I Um, so I think I'm going to say, I'll try and tie it together a little bit. So I think, so I'm looking at this. And so I think it is. Okay, so I'm going to say it's nighttime. So we cut to the kind of one of the busy settlements here in the Malassa Mountains. And where is it in the settlement? So I'm actually gonna use this. So I'm gonna say it's like a kind of in a run. So in these villages, they're connected by tunnels. So I'm thinking of during the Vietnam War, there was the kind of the tunnel rats, and they used to kind of tunnel underground, and there's a whole network of pathways. So I think in one of so there's something similar here. I think that the Bazee, so yes, whilst they also like can travel and fly, bees kind of build nests, and I think in no, so I'm going to say it's wrong, but I think it is actually in the air, because we did say that their accommodation was kind of connected to trees. So I think there's kind of like in one of the kind of runs that connect different parts of the village together. I gotta go with this one. So I think a strange creature that we kind of recognize is similar to the one that we saw in created by the Infinity Coalition, and we see it kind of lurking through, kind of sneaking its way in through this kind of run, and it is sneaking up behind someone or something and has captured them. So that's how the episode opens. So I'm gonna see who have they captured. So we're running through the forest. Meanwhile, it's dark, and this kind of tentacled creature has kind of slipped into the busy encampment and captured I think we gotta go with this one. I think they've captured the leader, who is Mizzou, who's the leader of the Bazee. So it looks like they've captured them. So they've captured them. And I think I'm going to say, how do we discover this? Well, I think I'm going to keep it really simple. I think as we... Oh, yeah, so I'm going to do this actually. So I think as we burst out of the forest as we're being chased, and we actually kind of... I'm going to use that as like shouldering. So we actually kind of bump into the creature as it is... Yeah, I think like wrapping its tentacles around Nazu, who I'm going to say is unconscious. So no, do you know what? We actually... I'm going to edit that because I kind of like this. So I think we do spy them as we're kind of running back. We spy them being bundled back into a vehicle of some sort. Yeah, so they're going to kind of being packed away. So I think they're being bundled back into a vehicle. So I think the first thing is we are going to try and raise the alarm. So we're going to call for the Bazee to say that they're under attack. So move my coffee out of the way, do my shuffle. So quick! There's something has got your leader. So we're gonna take that one. Okay, so and apologies, I always get caught up in the story and forget to share what's going on. So we have... So I think we managed to rouse the village, but I think they are kind of hesitant to get involved. So they come charging out, and then they see this kind of tentacled creature like flailing around and kind of whipping out at them. And I think these are kind of the Bazee still have kind of I don't say they've beliefs, and I think messing with demons is not one of the things that they kind of are equipped for doing. So yeah, they start saying it's a demon has taken Nazu. So they're reluctant to get involved, but there are more people out there. There's more light around, I think. So I think Jasan is going to... What's he going to do? So I think they're going to do a two-way thing. I think Jasan is going to try, and again, using his axe, throw it to disable the vehicle. And meanwhile, Demona then will do her kind of combo with Grova to try and kind of get across the clearing as quick as possible to try and rescue Nazu. So first thing is with Jasan. Okay, so they managed to do it. I think others step out of the... So the face here is that others step out of the vehicle. So it's kind of equivalent of a truck. I think it's like a ground skimmer. And they step out and they're carrying weapons, and they're not impressed by what's happened. So I'm going to say, do I recognize these. I mean, yeah, I think I've spotted them before. Oh, they look familiar. They are so this is Jasan asking this question. So I've seen them before, and they have. I don't know. I think I used that eye before. I think when I was talking about the Infinity Coalition. So I think they're members of the Infinity Coalition. That's what I'm going to say. And yeah, okay. So I think then the Mona is going to try and do her her kind of stunt with Grova to try and get in and kind of catapult herself across quickly. So Grover's going to kind of use that kind of hug fling move to throw Demona across the clearing, and she will kind of vault off different buildings to get into to try and land almost like behind the creature in order to pull Nazu out of the vehicle. Okay, she does it straight up. So I think she manages to kind of get close to Karnu and tells him to come with her. So hang on, that should have been my other token. So that's my second. No, I've taken 3 actions. We've got 1 left. So I think Eleanor then is going to try and blast. I think she's going to try and stun this creature. Let me see. I don't think she wants to hurt it. So actually, she has her little the balls that have different effects. So I think she did have a stun one. So I think she's going to throw one of her kind of stun bombs to try and kind of to stun and knock out this kind of tentacled creature. So let's see if it works. No. But so smiling happy. I think so. I don't think it stops it, but I think it gives the others courage. So the Bazee and they all start to kind of move in closer around this kind of tentacled creature. Yeah. So they're kind of zooming in. And I think that I got one last question. How is the tentacle creature responding? Okay, so I think this kind of sticks out, and I think it's kind of like swaying backwards and forwards. So it's like it's not quite attacking; it's almost kind of waiting for something. And yeah, I think I'm actually just going to stick with that. That's the one that kind of seems to make the most sense. So then we're going to flip and see what happens. So Nazu has an evil ally of some kind. So to Niels, you're just asking, yes, I think being able to play in your native language is definitely, you have to do such verbal gymnastics. I think I can't imagine trying to do that and then translate into a second language. It's trying to find the word. I guess if you find, I'm assuming kind of mentally you can play it in your native language and then try and interpret that across into something equivalent. I've never tried it, so I don't really know, unfortunately. Okay, so we're going to see who the evil ally is. Okay. I think it is. He always got to bring them back in, and they have done business together. So I think it's the Merchants Guild. So I'm going to use this kind of credit card type symbol to represent. Let's introduce the character from like way back because I've been meaning to bring them back in. So I think we had Goran, who was a spy with the Traders Guild, but we also had the head of the Traders Guild, who was Conran. So I think it's Conran. So Conran steps forward with a I think he just kind of steps forward and says, no, would he be there? I don't think he would be there. I think the Mizzou says, when they go to basically kind of attack or capture this creature, Mizzou kind of puts up his hands and says, stop. This being, and what do we call them? I think we call them spawns, infinity spawns. This now belongs to, is owed to Conran of the Merchants Guild. And I think my idea I'm going to spend is that because they had been trading in weapons from a previous episode, I think part of the deal was that if they were to come up against these creatures, that they must kind of hand them over to the Merchants Guild. So I think very shortly afterwards, a ship lands with and Conran steps down out of the ship and he greets Mizzou kind of warmly. And I think Eleanor is kind of prickling because she had a run-in with him in the first series of this. And she's kind of like shocked when she sees him and turns to the others and says, this is not good. So I think, what is Conran's plan? What's the deal they have in place? What can we ascertain? So I kind of feel like they are going to So I'm trying to think back kind of historically over things that have happened with the Bazee. They have kind of long ago, we have it that they had been in conflict with the Bobo, but the people of Beacon sided with the Bobo and supported them. I think they did a raid on, they were getting equipment from they were trading for equipment with the Merchants Guild, and they carried a raid on the forest on the Rangers, and they tried to take back the Hendon Forest, and they kind of failed at that. So I think they've just been kind of beaten back again and again, and that's their kind of view. So I think they are going to so I think in exchange, I think they're going to give them some high powered equipment to almost, again, kind of almost magical that will, I think they're going to give them some flying, some flying craft that, so I'm going to get rid of that will allow them to kind of take back and gain control of Hendon Forest, and will make them the kind of undisputed rulers of that. And it's going to be underhanded. So it's kind of like, I think they're planning to set fire to the forest. There's a real Vietnam War vibe to it, but I think they're basically going to drop something that's going to kind of destroy the forest, and will allow them to take it back for themselves. And I think the view is, if they can't take it, well, we're going to destroy it. So I think hearing that, that's Jasan's kind of home. His father is the kind of head of the Rangers. I think he says we have to kind of tell them. So we'll look at the questions. So I think we see them talking. No, I'm going to say, how do we kind of discover this? I think I have an idea, but we'll see. Yeah, well, I'm gonna use this. So it's kind of Urza, who has helped us in the past. Basically comes and tells us that you need to leave now. And you need to, Sister Jasan, you need to warn your family about what's happening. So I think, so I just thought of something. We left the last episode with the monks and the guardians and a fighting. We got split up from them. So I think we say, okay, but do you have word of Omax and Meeker? Or what word is there of them? Just so we can tie that up. I think, oh, okay. So it's funny because these are both the symbols of like the Rory and the Dryans, so the mist creatures, and this is the symbol I was using for the kind of the kind of followers of apathy. I think they have been able to, I guess, they were able to repair their ship, or kind of recharge the ship and escape. So they've kind of gotten out of there, and they've gone back to Beacon. And I've told them that you're with us and you are safe. Or so I thought, she says. Okay, so with that, I think we need to try and get back to the forest, or to green light in the forest to warn our parents. Hopefully I get a suitable symbol. Okay. I don't know if I want to spend a token. I think I'm going to use a symbol for light. So I think we make our way towards green light, and we are. I think Ezra is with us, and we've taken a kind of a skiff, and we're kind of the sun is starting to rise now as we're traveling down the mountains across the kind of the plains towards the forest of Hendon, when I think there are so even though this is like a kind of submarine, I'm going to treat it as one of those kind of flying ships. So we look behind us and we see one of the ships in kind of pursuit. So this kind of armored vehicle, and they're in pursuit behind us. And I don't think we have much time, and they're heavily kind of empowered. So I think they're bearing down on us, and we have our Prisma. I think we are going to try and I think we're going to so working as a team. I think they're going to take one of they're bringing down on us. So I'm trying to get obviously we try to go as fast as we can. I'm trying to think, do we try to kind of disable it in some way? I think I'm going to, assuming we're kind of close enough, I'm going to use the calls, like the signaling system that we have in Hendon Forest to kind of alert each other to danger. And I think I'm going to do that through the intercom system on the ship to try and the skiff that we're on to try and amplify it in some way. Assuming we can do that, I can kind of plug into the radio or something in some way. So I'm gonna do that. Okay. So we succeed, but something isn't right. I think. So I managed to contact them, and I get a return call, but I don't think they're going to get here on time. So they are underway, but yeah, I think some of the other ships have already kind of reached, and yeah, we're maybe too late. Excuse me, I'm going to mute and cough for just a second. So, say we know there's parts of Hendon already ablaze as a result of this. So I think I'm going to just look at my character sheets again. And so we've got the Prisma bulbs. Let me see. I think should have thought of this sooner. I think. No, I'm going to do that. I was going to bring in Damona's parents, but I don't think now is the time for that. So I think we are. So even though we're being pursued, I think we need to disable them. So I think we're going to try and lure them in. So kind of with the skiff. Yeah, let's kind of do something kind of visual. I think with the skiff, we're going to we see a kind of rising mound up ahead that would allow us to kind of gain some air because we're kind of like a ground-based ship. And I think we're going to use it to kind of launch ourselves up into the air. I think even with his kind of damaged arm, Vika's kind of skilled at driving, we're going to launch into the air to get us like a little bit closer. And in doing so, I think Eleanor's going to summon Inu, Mokon of Distraction. I think they're all going to work together actually to do this, to summon their Inu and try and distract the ship so that it would kind of in turn like crash into the rocks in front of them. So we're going to do a kind of crazy maneuver to try and cause this ship to, in pursuing us, to crash as a result of it. Okay, so we don't succeed. I don't think they crash, but I think we have slowed them down a little bit. It was a close call. I think what happens is they're like heading for the. It's like it's almost going to happen. They're almost going to kind of like clip the rock face, and they manage to just like turn the ship, but it means they've kind of maybe spun out of control a little bit. And I think at this point, we're going to spin the ship around and try and channel up our Prisma and try and blast the ship and disable it whilst the pilots are distracted. So that was our second action. So I think that's our third one now. Okay, so we managed to do it, but I think in crashing one of the I think it's one of the Merchants Guild who's been piloting it comes out and takes a let me see. So I think as they're going down, they attempt to take a shot back at us. That's what it is. So that's the look. We can kind of almost like see the pilot. They're that close. And they kind of fire up their weapons. And they're about to blast. And I think we fire one more time to try and stop them. And so just as their weapons are kind of like charging up, Jisan kind of like shouts fire, and Vika is able to they all kind of blast simultaneously, and they're able to kind of disable the ship, and it crashes to the ground, so it doesn't pose a threat anymore. So I think they've crashed to the ground. So what would I like to know now? So what's happening over the forest? So I think we look around. Lost the cube. Bear with me. So the ship has crashed to the ground, and we're heading back towards the forest. Well, we turn around to see what's going on over the forest, and I think we see animals kind of fleeing and fires are starting to burn. And yeah, I think we just and we actually spot a slider, which we'd seen in one of the earlier episodes, which is a cross between a snake and a spider, kind of all kind of fleeing from the burning in the forest. Okay, but we discover they were after a different location, so they're heading for Hendon. So after a particular location, and I'm going to pause stall for time. Niels, in terms of sleeving, I don't think there's any harm because there isn't that many cards. So sleeving them gives them a bit of extra depth. And I'm still planning to show some of the test some of the variant cards before this month ends. And so if you have sleeved them, then it'll make it easier to kind of like maybe, if you ask nicely, I'll make them available and you can print and test them within your system as well. So it's not absolutely mandatory. I don't really mind that the cards are getting worn. But if you want a bit more kind of thickness as you're shuffling them, yeah, and you have sleeves, there's no harm in that. So they're targeting a location, and I think it is a particular location. So I'm gonna say it is okay. So I think I'm gonna call it it's the Silent Tree. All right, and this is kind of like the source of what does it have? It has something significant. So actually, I'm not going to answer that question, but I am going to say it's the Silent Tree. Which is located in the heart of Hendon. So I think we get a call from the from Finn, from Jastan's uncle, and he kind of yells and says the Silent Tree is under attack. That's what they're after. And so I ask why. Or everyone asks why. Might be an opportunity for some flashback. So it is so I think the Silent Tree is both I think it's got a ceremonial purpose. So it's where the Rangers are kind of named and essentially kind of, let's say, crowned, where they kind of undergo their tests to rise and become the Rangers and leaders of Hendon Forest. But it's made of a material that is extremely valuable. So there's a kind of wood that's extremely valuable, and I think the Merchants Guild have wanted it for years. They've tried to kind of persuade the Rangers to kind of like part with it, and I think they're using this attack by the Bazee as an excuse to try and capture the tree itself. So let me see. I am going to, I think I'll do a flashback because I think I'm going to have some memories, let's see, of the, Jasan grew up there. So when I say Jasan grew up in the kind of in around the forest. His father was kind of named there. So what memories does he have? So I actually think I'm going to say Jasan doesn't have. I think actually Jasan's like let it burn because if you remember from earlier episodes, his father and other rangers, because he was missing an arm, kind of never saw him as ranger material. It was only his uncle Finn who really believed in him. And I think he saw it more as a kind of, as a child growing up, it had kind of, I'm going to say like mystical properties because it seemed like a magical place, like it kind of bounded two different worlds. So hence the bridge. And I am going to use my modified token to say that Jazan actually used to spend hours like sitting up in the branches, so climbing up into the branches and kind of watching out over the forest and all of the kind of life that was teeming within it. And he would constantly get into, I'm going to change my story actually a little bit. So I think he used to spend hours in the tree. It kind of was a magical place for him. And he would actually be beaten by and scolded by his father and the other rangers for doing this because they didn't think he had the capacity to kind of like climb and that it wasn't safe and that he should kind of like keep his feet on the ground. So so I think he cares deeply actually about the silent tree. And I should call it more than just a tree. I think it's the silent so a type of tree here. The silent corca, which is a tree. So I'm going to call it the corca is a type of tree here in Hendon. So knowing all that, we need to go and try and protect the tree, I think. Okay, so I think we... Well, I think I'm going to use this, which is the kind of lookout symbol or kind of a lighthouse. So I think I'm going to use that to kind of represent the tree and race to there to protect it. So using the skimmer, we head through the forest. But on our way there, I think we... So I'm debating whether I bring in anything from here or just repurpose the ones on the table. I think it makes sense that I mean, it's under attack. I think, and I'm going to do this kind of simultaneously. There's attacks coming from both the ships are kind of dropping their kind of firebombs onto the forest, and the Merchants Guild, the soldiers from there are attacking the tree, and I think they're being led by Conran. He wants to be there to kind of see this happen. So I think I don't know if there's much we can do about. So as the fire is dropping, I think the first thing we're going to have to do is try and kind of evade that. So So I'm gonna say I have an idea, or Jasan has an idea, um, that they are. If you remember when they were going through the forest, the sliders were running past, and they're renowned for their. I'm kind of looking at the symbol here. They spin like silk and webs, and I think it gives him an idea that our defenses within kind of mounted around the silent tree that are essentially kind of web guns that they have. So nets for kind of usually they're used for capturing creatures, and I think he realizes that these could be really effective against these flying ships as a way of debilitating them and taking them out of action. So he, I think, calls his uncle Finn and says to him, like, redirect the guns up to the ships, and see if you can take them out. So he flips them over. No. And I think Finn says they've all been disabled. They Yeah, I said he says they're already down, they've been destroyed. They managed to get through our defenses and totally kind of wiped it out. So I think that's the kind of embarrassment side of it. And I think Finn is telling them, even telling Jasan, like, this is bigger than you. You need to get out of here and get to safety. So those weapons aren't any good. I think Demona is kind of like I wasn't going to do it before, but I think she's going to try and reach her parents, because her parents were kind of against all of this. It's why she went to. So not all the Merchants Guild is kind of corrupt, and she is. Yeah, I think she's going to kind of contact them on her. I'm going to assume they have kind of comms devices. I think she's going to try and contact them and find out where they are, and like what can they do to yeah. He's just gonna ask, like, what can we do to stop them? So she's gotta try and contact her parents. No, they're unreachable at the moment. So everyone's looking at her, well, and she's going, they're not responding. So I think she's really worried about them. I think so that hasn't worked. I think what's another thing they can do? We're all in trouble, and the Merchants Guild are there. I think we're going to try and I think we see Conran. That's it. And Eleanor points at him and says, like, he's behind all of this. If we can stop him, we may have a chance. So I think Jasan says, leave it to me. And he basically disappears and kind of uses his ability to kind of not be noticed. And he also knows this forest like the back of his hand. So I think he's going to try and maneuver into a position. And he grabs. I think he takes one of Eleanor's kind of stun kind of bombs as well as a backup, and he kind of disappears to try and maneuver into position behind Conran in an effort to take him out. So I think he's going to just try and maneuver. I should have spent another one of them. I should have 1, 2, 3. No. Going to try and maneuver into position. No. But I think once he's trying to get there, he's not able to get close. But I think another attack basically lands quite close to Conran and kind of throws him to the ground. So he's kind of taken out. So I think from where he's standing, I think Conran is going to throw the kind of stun ball to try and let's say it's a smoke one. So he's going to smoke one to try and create a distraction and get in and take him. So I think he throws it, but it kind of falls too far and goes off. I think then we need... Who's going to get involved? I think... kind of Vika says, leave it to me, and just charges through, kind of bowling people over. And I think, hopefully this is his moment to shine. I think he's going to have something in mind. So let's see. So Vika just starts kind of barreling over, knocking people out of the way. Yeah. And I think as he does it, we see this kind of glow, and it's the first time we've really seen it with Vika. He's saying, like, I'm not going to leave my friends behind, and I'm not going to let this ancient forest burn, because I think, again, he's quite old, and so he's kind of seen this forest for many years. But he starts to glow with Prisma, and his anger kind of terrifies the people around him. Not his anger, but just his sheer strength. And I think, I think a Farg appears beside him. So he's summoned his kind of first Mokon, and Farg is running it. Actually, I think Farg is running ahead and kind of barreling people out of the way. And we kind of cut to Conran, and he's backing away, and he's just got this look of panic on his face as Farg just kind of barrels into Conran, throwing him up into the air. And I think Vika just catches him in his kind of grip. And I think he kind of turns... so I think he delivers him actually to... so he grabs him and runs to where... let me see. So I think he grabs him, and our heroes gather together, and they basically shout out and say, tell everybody to stand down, and hopefully it'll kind of ripple through the groups. Yeah, it's kind of a fake threat that, we have your leader, and if you don't, we will... I don't know if they want to say we want to kill him. His life is forfeit. That's the polite way of putting it. Okay, so I think the word spreads and they gradually ripple. It kind of ripples through the crowd as the first people kind of drop their weapons. The members of uh, the kind of guards, soldiers working with the, let's say, mercenaries, working with the Merchants Guild, and the flames stop as well as they kind of the signal is sent to them as well, and they kind of peel away. So we haven't seen the last of them. They kind of escape, I think. Um, so we're holding him. They drop their weapons, and I think all of the rangers step in, confiscate all of the weapons, round up the merchants, and I think yeah, I think Chizan's father, who is what do they have his name? Laurel, steps forward and says, Conan of the Merchants Guild, you are going to stand trial for so many crimes. You not even your money is going to save you from this. And I think we're going to kind of wrap that up. And I think the episode ends, because I think this is kind of curious now. I think the episode ends with Demona stepping away and trying one more time to contact her parents. Because I feel like this could become part of a story. So she tries one more time to contact her parents. Okay, so she's managed to reach them. But they say, Demona, you do know we love you. We love you very much. And with that, there's like a click as they get disconnected. And that is the end of the episode. So we just see her face and the look of like, Mom, Dad, and yeah, I think we will end it with that. So I think we have, in terms of threads, I think we have the actually, sorry, kind of going. I'm going to go back over my list here. So my notes on the game board. Yeah, so I'm going to push this forward. So I actually think we have resolved the Council of Hope have been captured by the Bringers, so they were actually rescued and returned in a previous episode. The Infinity Coalition are experimenting on children with Prisma in Keyport, so we haven't kind of finished that one. Tensions are at a boiling point between the Busy and the Rangers. I think we've kind of put paid to that. They are not going to try that again. We have Dusan is at risk and needs to harness his Prisma. I think it's bubbling away. Majora is on the loose, yes. So the she's a member of the Ravona, the Raven Ninjas. The Merchants Guild are spreading uncertainty and are in league with Despair. I think they have been stopped with this. I think this is just too overt an action. They took it too far. Then why did the Guardians assist Boba? No, we don't have that. Boba want to exact revenge on our heroes. Oh yeah, that's for their schoolmates. I have that. And then I have I think I had new threads. Followers of Despair are after Vika, the last of the Arcanobats. I think that'll be an ongoing thing, and I think then Demona's parents are in danger. We don't know what it is exactly. So, is there anything else? No, I just, in terms of, I think, locations then, Silent Tree of Hendon Forest, source, sorry, it's a valuable resource. So I think as well, just to kind of, I think it seems fair that as a result of this episode, because I haven't really leveled anyone up because they're all kind of maxed out under the normal rules, because I'm playing quite a long season. I think they're all going to become kind of like honorary rangers of Hendon. So I'm going to give them all that. And I think for the work they've done, and I think so not Nadalia. I think Jasan kind of breaks down when that happens. And I'm just realizing I need to give Vika some powers, but I might do that before the next episode. I'll do it at the end, actually. So, no, Nadalia's not going to get that. So, yeah, I think Demona and Vika need to gain some extra powers. So I might just do that now while we are here. I'm wondering if there's anything obvious that they should get. So they've channeled Prisma Ancient Knowledge. They're become an honorary ranger. I think they are. What will we give them? What would make sense? I'm going to take all of these back and roll, I think, to see. Though I do think, actually, so I am going to say, I don't think they're Prisoners Weekend anymore. I think they are touched by apathy, which I could have played up on more, but they've kind of, yeah, I'll try and feed that into a later episode. And what do they have? So this could be knowledge, backpack. So I can't think. This might be like, where am I looking at? The wrong thing, wrong window. Notes and dice. There we go. So I kind of think it might be. I think these are like kind of goggles that allow them to see. So I think I'm going to say what happened. So the pilots in some of these ships were wearing these kind of night vision goggles that allowed them to see in the dark. But again, they're kind of they're not going to be powered by Prisma. So the Merchants Guild, I think they are. It allows them to kind of find a I'm just going to call them like multi-vision goggles. So they can do different things. They can search for Prisma. They can search for despair. They can search for kind of heat power sources. So I'm just going to call them vision goggles. So that's what Vika gets. And then I think the Mona gets, what would be, she's gotten really good working with Grova. I'm going to see if she's given a gift of some kind. She is given I think she spots think of like a map or guide. So I think in kind of looking through the wreckage of like after the fight, she's kind of searching through as the fires are being put out. She scatters some dirt and discovers a So the Infinity Coalition weren't involved in this because I was debating whether to give her like a small creature. I think she develops actually. I'm trying to think of like she develops like a kind of a keen eye for tracking or this kind of inner vision. So thinking too hard about this. I'm gonna go with this because it's the weirdest, most straightforward. So this kind of represents that kind of Infinity Coalition, the spawn, and I think. Oh, sorry, I just saw your note, Neil. Yeah, something to defeat the mist creatures. That's a good point. So let's go with that then. I think they give her a. It's almost like a kind of. So who does she talk to? So I'm trying to think how she would get it. So the Z might have known, but they're not going to be happy with the outcome of this because they've been driven back. I think the Rangers don't really have the means to deal with them. So there might be some technology. I'm trying to think. I think she finds. I think I'm gonna say like a map. So I'm gonna say it's a notebook that contains information about um the Zwari. She flicks through it and sees kind of diagrams and instructions. She doesn't have time to kind of process it right now, but it refers. I think it refers to the Dryans and the uh, to the Dryans and to the Zwari, and maybe it was taken from Conran. So I'm gonna just ask, how does she get it actually? So she finds this kind of old book or journal. Okay, so I kind of want some kind of like positive characters in this who are kind of, because everyone seems to be working against hope. So I think this so this figure wearing a mask kind of emerges from the forest. No, it's later that evening. They're kind of around, they're celebrating, and things are kind of being cleared up. And I think she's in her kind of room that night, I think, having gone to bed exhausted, and she finds a kind of journal on the kind of the mat where she's staying with Jisan's family. And she hears the sound and she turns and runs to look out. She runs to the door and looks out. And when she looks out, she sees this figure that is kind of just radiating a kind of a joy and a happiness. And the mask it's kind of got a mask on, and it's of a smiling face. And it is like the person is literally glowing. And I think Demona has this just feeling of complete awe and wonder as this character kind of disappears into the forest and the light fades. So, so I think she has a kind of journal that details. I think it kind of details like apathy, the Dryans, and the Zwari. And so we have this mysterious creature or character. And without giving, well, if I'm not being obvious enough, I think she tells the others about what she saw, and they say that it is. I think Vika kind of stops and says, "I recognize that." That is a I'm trying to think of the right word. I need my thesaurus. I think essentially a bringer of wonder. So I'll come up with a better word because I don't want to use bringer. They're bringers of despair, guardians of hope, and I need proper ones for apathy and wonder. So it's like evoker. I don't know. But they belong to the time of wonder. So it's strange that they're here now. So they, yeah, Neil. So Vika was their race were created during a time of wonder. So I think they would know a lot about that time and those people as well. So I'll leave it at that. So I think it's this kind of I think Damon is just kind of in awe of this kind of being that they saw. And I think goes to sleep clutching a kind of looking at a hollow photo of her parents and says, don't worry, mom and dad, we'll find you. And the episode's going to end there, finally. Okay, so that actually turned out pretty well. Tied up a lot of loose ends, introduced like a positive force for wanting to bring about hope. So we've kind of like, we're, again, narratively, we're at this tipping point between a time of hope and despair. So despair has the upper hand. When hope gains the upper hand, it will begin to emerge and usher in the new era. And so the followers of apathy want to kind of tip that balance further so that despair, I realize I'm in reverse here, so that despair will actually retreat back to the time of apathy, and wonder wants to kind of, bring hope about, because wonder follows hope. So I think that's kind of like the push-pull that's going on at the moment. Yeah, so enjoy that one. Those kind of tough bits in it. We've 2 episodes left to wrap up this season. And as always, I have no idea where this is going to go, how it's going to take us, but we shall see. So thanks for joining us today. I'll see you back here tomorrow for 10 o'clock for episode 20 of Prisma Arena, the animated series. Thanks for watching. Again, if you liked it, please like and subscribe. I always got to remember to do this stuff. Bring up my banners. You can find all the links are We Are Hub Games, but on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. You can find me on most platforms as Rory O'Connor. And yeah, please follow, please like and subscribe to the videos. Let other people know. And have a great day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Take care. I just got to find my how to turn this off before we go. Take care, everyone. Bye.